Fever dog, bow, bow, bow! There we go! There we go! We crushed them in fast break points 17 days. Right, we crushed them in second chance points 20-11. Okay, all of those things, y'all.
The Seattle Storm thought they could push CaitlinClark around again. Big mistake. After that infamous body check by Skylar Diggins in their final clash of the 2024 season, the Indiana Fever came into their first 2025 matchup with payback on their minds. But here's the twist: when Clark had her worst shooting night of the season, scoring just 6 points, it wasn't the end, it was the beginning. Because her teammates, they showed up like warriors. Aliyah Boston, Lexie Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell didn't just rise to the occasion, they made history. So how did the Fever flip the script, dominate the so-called Storm Bullies, and send a message to the entire league? We're breaking it all down in this video. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. If you're riding with the Fever, drop asterisk asterisk I've got the Fever asterisk asterisk in the comments. Let's go.
The last 2 games against the Valkyrie, after the last game against the Las Vegas Aces, a question many of us had was, who's going to step up on this Indiana Fever team when CaitlinClark doesn't have it, when the shot's not falling? If she's not able to carry this team, who's willing to step up and show up when it matters the most, when it's time to buckle down and get this team a victory? Folks, after the last 2 games, I just wanted a win tonight.
Picture this. August 18th, 2024. CaitlinClark is in the middle of one of the most electric stretches of her rookie season, and the Indiana Fever roll into Seattle with sky-high momentum. Clark is dishing out dimes, chasing her 3rd straight game with double-digit assists. Lexie Hull is having a breakout night, and the Fever are running the Storm out of their own building. Then everything changes. As the game winds down and Clark hypes up the crowd, Skylar Diggins makes her exit from the court. But not before delivering a shocking body check that blindsides Clark. The moment hits like a lightning bolt caught in slow-mo on the replay, and instantly blasted across social media. Fans were furious. What looked like a clear shot at Clark lit up timelines everywhere, sparking outrage and debate. Was it intentional? Was it personal? One thing was certain: this would be remembered as one of the most controversial moments of Clark's.
Okay, by now I'm sure you've seen Skylar Diggins assault CaitlinClark after Indiana blew out Seattle. Now, was that jail? No. Would it be a fight in the NBA? Yes. What I don't get is the Seattle coach here is the one complaining after the game, and Skylar, tears in her eyes, being like, how dare Caitlin embarrass me? How dare they beat us by 30?
How wild the reaction was. Dave Portnoy's post about the incident racked up over 250,000 views in just the first 20 minutes. That's how quickly it went viral. Fans were divided, but the majority knew exactly what they were looking at. This wasn't just a heated moment, it felt personal. Clark, as always, kept it classy. But if you looked closely, you could see it written all over her teammates' faces: the frustration, the fire. They weren't going to forget this.
Ladies, grow up. They didn't take their starters out in time. What are you talking about? And here's what I love. You think Caitlin's going to back down because they're crying? Like, how can a rookie embarrass us? What do they keep beating us up like this? How is she so good? No, Caitlin doesn't back down at all. She's like, hey, zip it, Skylar. Shut up. Stop crying. She literally mouths, stop crying. I'm not sure if it's in this video.
The Storm players acted like nothing happened. They just walked away, like they didn't just body check the league's biggest star. That made it even worse for Fever fans watching at home. Some people thought the Storm were trying to prevent Clark from getting that assist record. The whole game felt emotional. After that moment, the game became a turning point, not just for Clark, but for how the entire league viewed the Storm's tactics. The incident created a narrative that the Storm were bullies, picking on the league's brightest young star. Fans started seeing Seattle as the team that targeted rookies. The perception stuck because of how obvious the contact looked and how the Storm reacted afterward.
The league doesn't know what to do with CaitlinClark. They don't know what to do with the Indiana Fever. It's not just her, Aliyah Boston, Mitchell, Hull. This team is coming together, and CaitlinClark is loving it. She's laughing at you, Skylar. Imagine that you bump her, and then you have the audacity to complain about them. Just play ball. You didn't hear Indiana crying when they started off 1-9. They just got up off the mat, started. That's assault.
What nobody knew was that this moment would fuel the Fever's fire. For almost a full year, Clark remembered her teammates, remembered the coaching staff, remembered they were waiting for their chance. To show Seattle that those tactics wouldn't work anymore, the Fever had grown up since that August night. Fast forward to June 24, 2025, and the Fever finally had their shot at revenge. This time, they were ready to fight back. Here's what makes this revenge game even more incredible. CaitlinClark picked the worst possible night to have her worst shooting performance of the season. Clark came into this game shooting lights out all season, but something was off from the very first shot. You could see it in her mechanics. The shots weren't even close. Mark behind the back and goes right to the window on Wheeler. Excellent. It's up the 3 ball by Dantas. And look at here. She went 3 of 13 from the field and missed all 6 of her 3-point attempts. Those are numbers that would normally spell disaster for Indiana. Clark had been averaging 8 points per game before this 3-game West Coast road trip. Now, she was sitting at just 6 points with minutes left in the fourth quarter. Her season low-scoring output couldn't have come at a worse time. The Seattle crowd was getting louder. With every missed shot they thought they had, Clark rattled. Just like last year, you could hear them getting excited every time she pulled up for 3 and it clanked off the rim. They were trying to get in her head the same way they did during that August nightmare.
Beautiful feed to Aliyah Boston. This Mitchell goes right in at Ezzy Magmagor and scores. Oh, Aliyah Boston on 30 packs tonight. She stay on fire, she does.
But here's where the story gets beautiful. While Clark struggled, her teammates were quietly preparing to make history. This wasn't the same Fever team that got pushed around last season. These players had been watching Clark carry the load all year. Now it was their turn to step up when she needed them most. Aliyah Boston started heating up in ways nobody had seen before. She was attacking the rim with a vengeance. Every drive looked more aggressive than the last. Boston wasn't just scoring. She was making statements with every basket. The Storm defense had no answer for her newfound aggression. Hook pass Aliyah Boston. Gabby closes out on her, now spins on Ezzy. Nicely done, and Boston scores. She's 8 points allowed on their home floor. And again, Aliyah Boston just straight line drive. Lexie Hull was crashing the boards like her life depended on it. She was grabbing rebounds over much taller Storm players. Hull was flying around the court, diving for loose balls, doing all the dirty work that doesn't show up in highlight reels but wins basketball games. Offense, not a lot of weak side help after she went behind the back. Biggest lead of the game for Indiana. They can add to it here on the turnover. Wheeler the only one back 3-1, and Lexie Hull lays it up. And coming around is Mitchell. She was public enemy number 1 on the outside for Indiana in the first. Here's Hull wide open, look and strike it. Yeah, good offense. Kelsey Mitchell began finding her rhythm from deep. She was hitting shots that would later make WNBA record books. Mitchell stepped into those big moments when the Fever needed scoring the most. Her confidence grew with every made 3-pointer. Clark's worst night became the perfect stage for her teammates to prove this Fever team was built different than last year's squad. Instead of folding when their stars struggled, they rallied around her. They showed Seattle that the Fever weren't just about one player anymore. The real magic was just getting started as 3 unlikely heroes stepped into the spotlight. Boston, Hull, and Mitchell were about to have career nights that would change everything. Indiana trying to end this road trip on a victory and get to 500 on the season. Seattle trying to win game number 7 out of 8. Oh, beautiful feed by Dantas, sealing it off for Cunningham. The push. Here's Mitchell hit one from this exact spot and hits another one. Kelsey Mitchell. The next ones from mid-range are going down. She is shooting 55% from the field. What happened next was the kind of basketball magic that gives you chills. 3 Fever players decided to have career nights on the same evening. Aliyah Boston started attacking Seattle's defense with moves nobody knew she had. She was scoring from everywhere on the court, in the paint, from mid-range, even hitting shots from the perimeter. The Storm defenders couldn't figure out how to stop her. Every time they adjusted, Boston found a new way to score. She was making shots she'd never made before in her career. All of those things are winning in the margins, right? Winning in the margins. And when it comes down to tough games, when it comes down to gut check games, and this was a gut check. Back against the wall game for us, but I'm so proud of you guys and the way that you respond. Boston finished with 31 points, a career high, that left Storm defenders looking confused and frustrated. Her previous career best was 30 points against Atlanta back in September, but this felt different. This was Boston taking over a game when her team needed her most. She also grabbed 8 rebounds, dished out 3 assists, and recorded 2 steals. Boston was doing everything on both ends of the floor. Of career-high 31 composure, finishing around the rim, and 8 career rebounders. Boston with it, she lay it up and in as Mitchell will try her hand again down. Boston going right to the rim and scores. Meanwhile, Lexie Hull was doing something she'd never done before. She was dominating the glass while scoring in double figures. Hull had never recorded a double-double in her entire WNBA career, but against Seattle, she wasn't backing down from anybody. Hull grabbed 11 rebounds for her first career double-double that smashed her previous career high of 9 rebounds from last season against Minnesota. Hull was outworking Seattle's bigger players with pure hustle and determination. She was flying around the court, grabbing boards over players who had inches on her. Every loose ball seemed to end up in her hands. Her 15 points matched her aggressive rebounding performance perfectly. Hull was everywhere. The Storm didn't want her to be Lexie's first career double-double music bar, and a career by 11 rebounds. Here we go together on 3-1-3. Haven't done that consistently. Seattle has Mitchell working on Magbagor to the corner, the other corner, and same result for Lexie Hull, where she hit one just a moment ago from the opposite side. Almost another offensive rebound though by Boston, but Seattle has it. Oh, there is a vault right there, and it's stolen away. Clark up top. Lexie Hull pump fakes, cook, and scores. Then Kelsey Mitchell took over the game's final stretch. She was hitting 3-pointers that put her name in the WNBA record books. Mitchell finished with 26 points and knocked down 5 3-pointers, but here's the crazy part. This performance gave Mitchell her 14th career game with at least 25 points and 5 made threes that moved her into sole possession of 5th place in WNBA history. For most games like that, Mitchell was stepping up exactly when the Fever needed her most. While Clark struggled from the field, Mitchell was draining shots from everywhere. Her confidence grew with every made basket. The Storm had no answer for her shooting music. Hey, great job of recognizing the hot hand and the hot action and continuing to go to it. Mitchell goes right in at Azzy Magmagor and scores. Kelsey Mitchell has been unconscious tonight. Aliyah Boston a 30-pack tonight. Mitchell, does she stay on fire? She does. It has been Kelsey Mitchell's night. 3 players having career nights in the same revenge game wasn't coincidence. This was destiny. Finally catching up to Seattle, the Storm had entered this game on a 3-game winning streak and the Fever on a 2-game losing streak, but they had no answer for this level of depth and determination from a Fever team that refused to be bullied. Again, Boston, Hull, and Mitchell showed Seattle that the Fever weren't just about one player anymore. They were a complete team ready to fight back. When that final buzzer sounded and the scoreboard read 90 for 286, you could feel the weight of 10 months of frustration finally lifting off the Fever's shoulders. The players were jumping up and down on the court. They were hugging each other like they just won the championship. This wasn't just any regular season game anymore. The post-game reactions told the whole story. This wasn't just about breaking a 2-game losing streak or improving to 7 wins and 7 losses on the season. The Fever had just lost to the Golden State Valkyries and the Las Vegas Aces on this tough West Coast road trip. Those losses stung because the team knew they were better than their record showed, but this win against Seattle felt different from the start. If Kelsey said, "This feels like the first time you guys have put in a game," just how did it feel for you? Yeah, I mean, we did. I think we had some hiccups and we had some breakdowns, but we played through them and we played with multiple levels of effort on both ends of the floor. For the most part, made really good decisions, had each other's back. Highest level of consistent communication we've probably had all year. And I felt like there was huge growth on from our team today. and I'm really proud, Coach Stephanie. White praised her team's ability to recognize the hot hand and stay with what was working. She talked about how her players showed real growth from last year's squad that might have folded under pressure when Clark was struggling with her shot. The team didn't panic, they trusted their teammates to step up. That's the mark of a mature basketball team, and have had that early foul trouble, but she kind of came back and she had a career high. Asked what can you say to her tonight? Just what a hell of a job. She was on balance all the time. She does such a good job of facilitating that I feel like sometimes she misses opportunities to be a scorer for us, and outside of one time when she passed it out, which she had a guard on her. I thought she did a good job of making the right reads and the right plays. She was efficient. She was hunting opportunities, and we were getting her the ball in a timely manner, and so much of AB's efficiency is about us getting her the ball on time and on target, and I thought we did a better job today. This wasn't just another regular season when this was the moment the Indiana Fever proved they're not the same team that got pushed around last year. Remember that August 18th game when Skylar Diggins made that body check on Clark? The Fever players remembered every single detail from that night. They'd been waiting almost a full year for this chance. You can see the pure joy and relief washing over every Fever player's face. Boston was smiling ear to ear after her career-high 31 points. Hull was celebrating her first career double-double with her teammates. Mitchell was soaking in the moment after her record-breaking performance. We've played a lot of games where we play 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and we end up coming up short because of that. And that's been our whole focus, is play a full 40 minutes when every 5-minute tinkerment that we can, and just really proud of our group. I feel like we've hit some adversity along the way, and I think that's only pushing us closer and closer together, and just really proud with how we stay with it. They were going on there running the fourth quarter of trying to fight back, and I feel like there's been times where we've separated in that moment, and tonight we just stayed together, and that just shows the growth of our team and how we're just, again, our chemistry is getting better and we're trusting each other more, and then you saw that in the fourth quarter. But here's what makes this victory even more meaningful. It represents something bigger than just a gutsy win. The Fever showed they could win without Clark having a great shooting night. That's huge for a team that was criticized for being too dependent on their star player. The celebrations in the locker room told the real story. Players were hugging and laughing like they just won a championship. You could hear the excitement in their voices. This felt like a turning point for the entire season. The team chemistry was obvious with performances like these from Boston, Hull, and Mitchell. The 2025 season suddenly looks full of possibilities for this transformed team. The Fever proved they have the depth to compete with anybody. They showed Seattle that bullying tactics won't work anymore. This team fights back harder than ever. This game proved that when Caitlin Clark has an off night, this Fever team has the depth and heart to carry her, something that would have been impossible last season. Kelsey Mitchell said it best after the game. This was the first time all season the Fever played a complete competitive game for the full 40 minutes. The message sent to the rest of the WNBA was crystal clear. It can't bully the Fever anymore because they'll fight back harder than ever as the Fever move forward. One thing is certain, they found their identity as a team that refuses to back down. If you support the Fever, comment "I've got the Fever" down below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next.